The CDC is shortening the amount of time people have to quarantine after getting COVID.
The data suggests that with Omicron, you're most infectious a day or two before you get sick and for the first day or two after you've gotten sick.
The new guidance allows asymptomatic patients to only isolate for 5 days instead of 10. They should continue to wear a mask for another 5 days around others, and a negative test is not required to end isolation. Some have criticized the decision to not require a negative test.
CDC makes guidance and recommendations in the real world, not the world that we wish existed. And right now, there aren't enough tests.
The airline industry pushed for the changes because it's having problems staffing flights. Several hundred more flights have been canceled today. But the head of the flight attendants union slammed the new guidance, saying if any business pressures a worker to return before they feel better, it will cause much greater disruption than any staffer shortages. Dr. Anthony Fauci, the White House's chief medical advisor, suggested over the weekend that vaccine mandates for airline passengers should be considered. He's now walking back those comments.
Right now, I don't think people should expect that we're going to have a requirement in domestic flights for people to be vaccinated.
Meanwhile, the CDC says it is actively investigating or observing 68 cruise ships following COVID-19 outbreaks on board. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, the White House.
Now, the CDC does say that it investigates or observes a cruise ship if cases are reported for more than 10% of the passengers or a single crew member in the previous 7 days. A little bit of background for you. All right, closer to home, nearly 1,000 new COVID-19 cases. Take a look at the board. It kind of gives you an idea of what we're dealing with here. 981 new cases in the last 24 hours. That brings the total to over 551,000. You can see the active cases jump by about 150, so we're sitting over 10,000 active cases at this point in time. Unfortunately, we added 15 more COVID-related deaths to the death toll, which now stands at 9,081. Hospitalizations are up, but ventilator use is down, so 519 people in the hospital right now, but 107 of those currently using ventilators. Along with the new case numbers, the Arkansas Department of Health is reporting 63 new Omicron cases here in the state. Now, the new variant makes up the majority of cases across the country, and people are out traveling for the holiday season right now. So Natural State Laboratories, who normally sees an increase in testing during the holidays, say they've seen more people eager to get tested here lately. They believe the spike might be for people concerned about the new Omicron variant. But if you are coming back from holiday travel, you shouldn't get tested right away. In fact, they're suggesting you wait a few days.
PCR testing can pick up a positive case as early as 3 days, but ideally 5 to 7 days is after a known exposure or after traveling is the most appropriate time to get tested.
So there are some COVID testing sites in Northwest Arkansas to tell you about. They're in Washington Regional and Fayetteville, plus Med Express and Natural State Laboratories both have sites in locations across Northwest Arkansas. There are also testing sites in the River Valley. All right, taking a look outside on this Tuesday. I'm used to saying Tuesday morning, but it's Tuesday afternoon technically because it's 12:04 on this warm and sunny day. And I'm joined again. It must be my birthday because Matt Standers is in the building.
Hey, what's happening? Happy birthday, dude. No, just messing. Hey, I think you're up too late. It's about time for you to go to bed.
You are not lying.
The morning show comes early, I tell you what. Hey, we still got some clouds across the River Valley right now, especially when you're looking from the Mercy Hospital ICAM. But slowly from northwest to southeast, we're going to get a little bit more sun expected today. Southwest winds, though, keeping us warm, even though we've had a lot of clouds so far today, and a couple of those showers sitting in the 60s in northwest Arkansas, and a mix of some of those 70s and even some 60s down south. However, afternoon highs for today, maybe a degree or two warmer than we are right now. We're probably not going to warm all that much more. We're still going to work on these clouds getting on out of here. We probably won't really have those completely clear skies until we get to sunset. Then you lost the sun and you're done for the day. Right now we're still tracking a couple showers just across the area, a couple showers mainly north of Clarksville and Johnson County. One good little pop-up though near Bocoshe on the other side of Kavanaugh Hill. We could try to get clipped in parts of Shady Point, Panama, Spiro here in the next couple of minutes. But otherwise, you can see the clouds slowly pushing off towards the east. Ruben will get a little bit more sun the rest of the day. We'll talk about the rain chances for tomorrow, though. That's coming up.
All right, thanks a lot, Matt. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, the LAPD has released video evidence from a police shooting last week that killed a 14-year-old girl. Now, it happened at a department store after officers actually responded to reports that a man with a gun was assaulting people. An officer confronted and shot the suspect, but also hit the girl who was trying on clothes with her mother behind a door. Jonathan Vigalotti has the story. We do want to warn you, though, some of this video may be disturbing.
Police body camera footage shows multiple LAPD officers arriving at this North Hollywood Burlington department store with their guns drawn after receiving calls of an assault and a possible shooting in progress.
Get out! There's a guy with a gun.
Moments before police arrived, surveillance video captured the suspect attacking multiple customers with what appeared to be a bicycle lock. The officers moved quickly to the second floor where they found 24-year-old suspect Daniel Elena Lopez near a woman he was beating with the lock.
Hey, she's bleeding. She's bleeding.
An officer then opens fire, killing Lopez. Unknown to all at the time, one shot pierced a wall behind the suspect and struck and killed 14-year-old Valentina Orellana Peralta, who was in a dressing room with her mother. Officers recovered the bicycle lock at the scene, but no gun was found on the suspect.
What exactly did the officer see, and why did the officer choose to fire his firearm?
Law enforcement expert Brian Higgins says there are more questions than answers right now.
The agency, I'm sure, is going to investigate how 3 shots were fired with a long weapon. Only one hit the suspect, and maybe one that missed hit the innocent victim.
LAPD Police Chief Michael Moore told our CBS affiliate KCBS that the use of deadly force is always the last resort.
We're doing everything we can to gather as much, to be as transparent as possible.
The officer who fired the rounds has been placed on paid administrative leave pending an internal investigation. Jonathan Vigliotti, Los Angeles.
All right, closer to home, according to the Sebastian County Sheriff's Office, it was a combination of policy violations and staff failures that actually led to the escape of 2 inmates on Christmas Eve. 39-year-old Jeremiah Slavins and 36-year-old Dustin Smith were both recaptured before the end of the weekend. Now, Sheriff Obi Runyon telling us that a combination of policy violation and staff failures is what led to that escape. The inmates were able to escape by forcing up a light in the shower of their pod to create a hole in the ceiling. Then they were able to crawl in the space between the ceiling and the roof until they found a water hose on the roof. They used that to rappel down the north side of the building. You see some of the video here, some of the pictures of what happened. Now, the problem is personnel didn't notice that they had escaped until 14 hours after the fact. And then they didn't notify administration until 4 more hours after that. The sheriff tells 5 News that steps are now being taken to ensure that this never happens again. And we are learning more about a deadly stabbing that happened in the early morning hours of Christmas Eve. This all happened in Fayetteville. Investigators have now identified the victim as 30-year-old Cody Tisdale. They tell us that he died after being stabbed shortly after 1 a.m. on Friday morning by David Pyle. Now, according to investigators, they believe it happened after the two got into a fight on North College Avenue. Tisdale died when police arrived. Here's a look at the suspect, David Pyle. He was arrested Friday after a standoff at a home in Springdale. He's now being held in the Washington County Jail on a $500,000 bond. He does face capital murder charges in Tisdale's death. All right, police have now identified the deputy that was involved in a deadly crash with a pedestrian, and this also happening on Christmas Eve, a deadly holiday weekend, right? Sergeant Wade Fortin with the Washington County Sheriff's Office was driving his patrol vehicle when he hit 40-year-old Joshua Baucom. Baucom was walking the same direction on the road. After being hit, he was taken to the hospital where he later died. It happened just after 6 o'clock in the evening on East Huntsville Road. This map kind of gives you an idea of where we're talking about. Details surrounding the crash and exactly what led up to it have not been released at this point. All right, if you're ready to get rid of your Christmas Christmas tree, but don't want to end up in a landfill with it, there are some other options for you. You can drop your tree off at the Beaver Lake boat ramps at the Highway 12 bridge. Montenay and Don Ralpha, the only trees accepted will be accepted and need to be free of ornaments and tinsel. The trees will be available for anyone wanting to sink them as fish cover. Any unclaimed trees will be sunk by the Army Corps of Engineers or Arkansas Game and Fish. So an option for you there if you're not sure what to do with your tree. Still ahead on your 5 News at noon. Record online sales this year also mean record returns. I already returned Matt's gift. I can tell you that right now.
I'm trying to return you.